Morning. Beautiful day here in Berlin. I'm delighted to be on your show. People in my industry, us rock stars, don't get up very early in the morning, but because I'm on tour at the moment. But for you, Jeremy, no problem.
So you're touring, and at what point in the sort of COVID story did you get back on the stage?
It took 600 and something days before I actually managed to stand on the stage again. And during this COVID lockdown, unfortunately, my industry was the first to close down and probably the last to open up again. We're amazed watching these massive crowds at football stadiums and so on at sporting events, and last week's Grand Prix in Holland. And we're wondering why we can't do the same thing. But I've been doing these concerts around Germany recently, and they have been in what's called these enormous beach chairs. And the stage has been something like 30 foot high, so you need a parachute to get down. But it's been working okay, and it's great to be back here doing my job.
And I did read that in the middle of the pandemic, you got COVID yourself. Is that right?
Yeah, I had two jabs, the Pfizer-BioNTech. And although I'm a member of the European Union, I have this COVID passport, so I could have left. Would have been on the 22nd of August. And I just thought I'd better take a PCR test, although I'd had the negative flow tests all week. The PCR test came back positive. I was absolutely stunned. But I think there are different levels, and I had a very mild one. And I urge anybody watching who hasn't been vaccinated, I know there are quite a big debate going on about this, but I urge you to get it, because it's much better to get it mildly than a real strong dose. And this is a serious virus.
Some people look back on lockdown and all the things they were forced to cancel, and they quietly say, do you know what? It was a good time for me, maybe because of family. And I know you've become a grandfather in it. Is that right?
Correct, Jeremy. By the way, I have to note your shirt. That's a stunning shirt, by the way. Yes. That's all I need to see. Yes, well, what happened is my daughter, Rosanna, who was Miss World back in 2003, she and her husband were married, and they wanted to start a family, naturally. And they hit my daughter, she had, and a lot of ladies watching will understand, that she had not just one miscarriage, but 15. One after the other, and it was a real terrible shock to her. So they eventually, having been told that she would never carry her own children, she and her husband had their own biological surrogate baby, who's Sophia, and she's a sweetheart, nearly 2 years old now. But last year, I got a phone call early, I'd say in early spring, from my daughter, who'd just been to a clinic for a checkup, because she said, Dad, guess what? I'm pregnant. I was going, oh my God, I hope this is not going to be number 16. Two little boys were born in November last year, Oscar and Hugo, perfectly healthy, beautiful little guys. So that was the lockdown miracle that my family really enjoyed.
After 15 miscarriages, that's the most incredible story.
And it's so much inspiration for people out there that are going through something like that. Just incredible.
I've never heard of that, someone having that many.
She's also a qualified nutritionist, has written 2 books about this, but has also come up with her own book called When Dreams Come True, which is coming out next month, all about her story to motherhood. And I think it's going to, like that, just your guest just said, it's going to really resonate with so many women.
Now, you've rescheduled your tour, so hopefully we could just show some dates. 12th of September, Liverpool, then Birmingham, York, Glasgow, London, Southend, Bournemouth. And you have got new music, Chris, and I think we can take a look.
Just live life, live well. Take your time, look after yourself. Give love, give well. There is to start by loving yourself.
The voice is so distinctive still. What was the inspiration for that?
Do you know, Jeremy, I haven't a clue. I know that some people think, well, this was written for my album, The Legend of Robin Hood, during the lockdown, but actually I did this beforehand. It just emerged. It's like a man talking to himself. And in this particular story, in the album story, it's when Robin Hood has returned from the Crusades with King Richard the Lionheart. And he is suffering from what so many young men suffer from, only recently recognized, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. And he has to go and live in the forest in Sherwood Forest and talk himself out of the situation. That's what that song was all about. But the rest of the album is, well, I mean, it's Robin Hood. Everybody knows the story. But in fact, we don't even know if he existed. So you can actually write it like a blank canvas. You can make up your own stuff.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Chris.